Today's guest is Darilyn Coles, CEO of Selocity. Darilyn helps interior designers build future-ready businesses through strategic AI integration, stronger teams, and full-circle sales systems that actually convert. And with cross-industry experience, including serving as the director of Toronto's International Design Centre and the president of the NKBA Ontario, she has a unique ability to spot growth opportunities in many industry insiders might overlook. Darilyn is known for delivering standout workshops and practical business development strategies. And through Selocity, she brings human-centered approach that creates clarity, drives cost-effective growth, and never loses the personal touch. I'm very excited to welcome her today. Let's get started. Welcome to the Business of Beautiful Spaces, a podcast that's specifically for interior designers and decorators. This is the podcast for designers and decorators who love creating beautiful spaces, but also know that building a profitable business, it will make it all sustainable. Hi, I'm Laura Thornton, and after nearly 30 years in the interior design industry and building a 7-figure design firm, I know firsthand how lonely it can feel running your own business. Making big decisions without a boardroom, without a business partner, or another executive team member to walk things through. That's exactly why this podcast exists. Think of me as your interior design bestie, the place you come for honest conversations, real action items, and a clear to-do list that you can apply today to move the needle forward and improve your bottom line. And if you can't get the answers you're looking for here, one-on-one mentorship with me is always available because no designer and decorator should have to figure this out alone. My goal with every episode is simple: to help you build a more profitable, confident design business and propel you into sustainable, successful future. So let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of the Business of Beautiful Spaces. Welcome, Darilyn. How are you this morning?
I'm amazing. Thank you, Laura, for inviting me today.
I'm really excited to chat with you today, like really excited. You and I have been yapping in the background about this for a while, and I think it's really exciting for interior designers to be able to learn from you. So let's dive in about how you got into this business and what exactly you do with interior designers.
Sure, sounds good. So my background really gives me, I've found anyway, that a somewhat different lens than many in the industry. I've worked across 4 very different sectors in my life, including fashion, financial services, the corporate world, most recently leadership of the Design Center here in Toronto, and in interior design trade community building, I've been very active in. So I tend to see opportunities that industry insiders sometimes miss. What I kept hearing from designers was the overwhelm of running a creative business, particularly around sales, marketing. HR can be a challenge, profitability, and now a lot of confusion around AI, right? So while I love developing a company's full strategy, it's a lot for companies to take on with a consultant these days. I recognize that, especially small businesses. So one of the common threads throughout my career has been directing large strategic sales, from working in the small business side of things or straight through to large corporate enterprise. But somehow always with companies, with a thirst to be leaders in innovation. So that's sort of in my DNA, if you will. That's why I started Selocity, to help those businesses move from fear or excitement. It's usually one or the other with people, often with little business planning as well, as what I've noticed. So really what I want to do is help them turn that into clarity through stronger sales systems and operations, as well as practical change management and innovation that, still protects the human touch that's equally important today.
And I love that you've embraced AI, because I feel like and Darilyn, don't like you and I are seasoned in this industry, right? Where like sometimes I feel like that is a deterrent for people and they don't want to start stirring a pot and learn something new, where clearly both of us are eager about it. And we did you organized a talk at the idea. And we chatted about it, and we had we probably had 100 people in the room who were also interested in learning how to use it. So I would love to dive into, why do you think so many designers are feeling paralyzed about embracing AI in their business? or how you think that they are maybe going to, not be ahead of the game and then just don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? And how do we get out
Beyond
of
the
it?
overwhelm that I described or the excitement, because both reactions are really about uncertainty, right? Some people are overwhelmed, don't know where to start. Others are using AI in very surface level ways. You and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
And assuming that means transformation is happening when it really isn't, right? It can be helpful, no question. But AI is not a strategy, right? Its strategy needs to come first. I can't emphasize that enough because if AI is not helping you, like, for example, qualify leads better, speed up your proposal systems, improve consistency, or, even reduce friction in the business, then it's probably just adding more overwhelm
Hmm.
for a lot of
What do you
people.
have a
And I've
favorite?
seen
Like,
that firsthand, right?
yeah. Okay. And do you have a favorite that you're finding? I know that's a personal thing, but do you have a
Right.
favorite chat LLM or site that
Oh,
you
in terms
like
of,
using?
I was always about Chat GPT for sure. More recently, especially on the strategic side, if you're, I love Claude right now, but I try not to talk so much about the tools because they're changing every
Right.
day. It's
Yes.
more about the moment in time when you're ready. Then we look at sort of what are the best tools with this, what you're working with right now. And that can be different for everybody, right? So that's where the strategy comes in first. It's
And
really,
we're going to apply this to our sales strategy. And so this is something
Mhm.
that if someone isn't very familiar with it or afraid of it or don't even know where to start, this could be a great place to start by starting to type
100%.
in some information about what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve with your sales and your business, and
Exactly.
see how it can support you. I mean, I don't know about you, but I hear a lot that people are afraid it's going to take over our jobs, and I feel
Yeah.
like we're not there yet. I mean, who knows
No,
where
we're
it's going
not.
to go, but it's definitely a tool, and it's a
Yeah.
great tool if you're using it strategically. So
Mhm.
where can they start with that? How can they start if they are going to use it strategically?
So you really want to start by getting honest. And sometimes that can be a challenge for business owners. I find, especially small companies, it's very difficult. It's very personal, but you really need to look at where are the challenges and dig deep into the realities of what's happening inside the business, outside the business. For example, from a sales perspective, where do leads come from? Where do they stall? What gets quoted but never closes? There's that I find in a lot of businesses, not just designers. What depends on one person's memory or charm, often the owner. A lot of companies think they have a strategy because they have growth targets, but it's much more than that. Of course, growth targets are important for everyone
Important, yeah.
involved, but strategy really lives in the daily operation of the business. It has to be sort of consistently be built into everything, including your messaging, follow up, proposals, presentations, and even your team behavior or your own behavior if you're a solopreneur. Really want to look at that. And
So
honestly, being the operative,
yeah,
right?
so processes and systems are essentially where we're going with this. And I know we preach it a lot and we talk about it a lot. And a lot of people probably think they do have
Mhm.
them in place. What do you see as the
Yes.
biggest misconception about most people's businesses when I'm sure they think they have processes, and then you come in and you
Yeah.
see what is strikingly clear when
Mhm.
you start assessing someone's business.
I think there's a lot of emphasis in the design world on the process once you have the sale, right? Is that fair
That's
to say?
yes. That's
Um, but
yes, I
I'm
can see
talking
that.
about before that.
Pre.
This
Hmm.
is where it's less operative. It's more, it can be about referrals. I hear that all the time when I ask, how do you get business? Oh, it's, referrals largely. I don't need social media. I don't need marketing. Um, and that can be true, but there's other ways to generate leads.
Yeah, what would those be?
Mhm.
Because we're all I
Well,
mean,
when it comes to AI,
yeah.
what changes the game, what excites me from day one with AI is really around for small businesses. That's where my heart is helping small businesses grow. And the opportunity with AI and specifically for for lead generation. So there's two types. There's inbound and there's outbound. Inbound is really can be things like obviously leveraging your Google profile, your now you have to think about AI search and how that works for you. It can be quite different. You want to look at, you can create funnels now so easily and cost effectively. We look at sort of how your business is structured in terms of your softwares now and what makes most sense if you are interested in, automating your funnels, what makes most sense, what tool makes most sense. And then on the outbound side, there are great companies like Apollo is one that is where you can actually type in your ideal client and information, location, and it'll give you back a lot of great leads. Another one that I think is grossly underused in the design world, I've said that from day one. I've only been in it 6 years now, but LinkedIn. I know you're on it, Laura, faithfully, but a lot of designers haven't, I still don't see them there. And it's your ideal client for a lot of designers, whether you're residential or commercial, you just need to be there, but consistently. It's like any other social media.
Yeah. Use the tools. And that is where my 92% of our clients are entrepreneurs. So that's LinkedIn is literally where our client lives. And we skew our content differently on LinkedIn than on Instagram and so that's the other thing that people like. It's not just blurb it over here and blurb it over there because they've already seen it. So they're not going to give you the same insight. So that was a tip we had learned from a marketer years ago, was to make sure that they're not the same content. They're different people finding you in different ways. But yes, it is a devotion.
It sure is.
I'd never heard of Apollo, so I'm going to look that one up. And is that something that is like LinkedIn?
That is what?
Is that something like LinkedIn?
It's not a social media platform. It's literally a directory where you can obtain leads from.
Interesting.
And there's a free version, so why not?
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So inbound, outbound, and okay. So I like that. And then, I mean, this is where you can start because I think the biggest thing I see people using AI for is their social media posts. Like, I think that is what most people are using it for instead of using it. Where I always say, try and use it. Like, I mean, we always say that like our world is pretty lonely being entrepreneurs in interior design because a lot of people are doing it on their own. They don't have a team. And even with a team, the person who is running it, it's still very lonely. And I belong to the EO organization, which if anyone listens, you're sick of hearing me say it. But what I realized, the biggest thing I realized out of being part of that organization with entrepreneurs is every entrepreneur is lonely. Where I just chalked it up to being designers. It's not designers. It is literally every entrepreneur is feeling the same way because it's how do you get this information? Where do you learn? How do you get someone to help you teach something that you don't know? So treat your AI like your C-suite, like it's your CEO, your CFO, your CTO, all the C's and the O's.
You got
all the C's and O's.
You're definitely doing it too from our conversation at the interior design show.
I know. I mean, I think really at the interior design show, we all did a little presentation on what our AI, and mine is the Claude device, which I talked about. And wow, I got a lot of people reaching out to me after. I should have had a link I should have had a link to make some money. See, it's all about profits over here at the Business of Beautiful Spaces. Okay. So now I got us off track here. Okay. I wanted to ask you, when we were talking about goals and having things in your business that you're trying to work towards. So you work on your sales funnel, you're trying to get more leads in. I mean, we are coming off a really strange year, especially here in Canada, where a lot of designers are quite slower compared to coming in off of COVID. And so sales seems to be, or the next client and where to find them seems to be the hot topic all the time. Like, how are you getting leads? What are you doing? And to your point, a lot of us just relied on referral for, well, in some cases, decades, like myself, and only recently started to invest in paying people with the AI trend. Not that it's a trend, it's here to stay, but the knowledge of it. I started investing in, I wanted to be ahead of the game with the AI. I wanted to be, if you're using your chatbots and it's populating. So I called up a marketer and I was like, I want to be the first person that comes in on AI. And they're like, well, it doesn't quite work that way, Laura. Like you still need SEO to get AEO, to get GEO, to get, I was like, darn it. Like I wanted to skip all the things and there was no such luck. But I know we talked about the Apollo, we talked about LinkedIn. Is there any other avenues without having to pay for SEO or AEO that you see as a benefit to designers, to at least as a jumping point if they don't have the income currently to be investing in SEO? Because it is an investment. I'm not going to lie to anybody. It was a shock how much it cost. It's very expensive, and especially when we're slower than we have been, to be putting that money towards it feels counterintuitive, but it's a must. You have to be marketing even when we're slow. Let's face it, running your own interior design business can feel overwhelming. But guess what? You don't have to do it alone. I am so excited to introduce a brand new way to get the support you need. One-on-one mentorship with me, Laura Thornton, your interior design bestie. In just one focused hour, we'll dive into whatever you need most, whether that's pricing strategies, client management, presentations, attracting clients, building up a repeat business, or just getting out of the hamster wheel. You'll get clarity, strategy, and expert advice based on my 28 years of running a thriving business and over the last decade, a 7-figure design firm. This is your chance to get real answers to the questions you've been dying to ask from someone who's actually been there and is currently still walking the walk. Book your session as you need it. There are no strings attached. You'll walk away with personalized, actionable advice that you can implement right away. One-on-one, 1-hour sessions as you need it. Head to the website or click the link in the show notes to book your mentorship session, and let's build a beautiful, profitable business that you've been dreaming of together.
Well, there is free versions of platforms like HubSpot, which traditionally used to cost a lot of money. Free always is limited, of course. But it, for especially solopreneurs that just want a basic customer relationship management tool that tells you when you go in, like where your sales are at, at what stage, what do you need to close. And then you can, I pay $30 a month US. No, sorry, Canadian. It works out too. It's about $20 a month right now. It's crazy. That then you can automate your messaging out of there. So you can automate, if you haven't closed the sale in X number of days, it will automatically email that prospect, certain messaging that you set up in advance. So it just becomes more of a system for you, as opposed to you always having to think of, well, where's this sale at? And, but I've got a project on the go here. It kind of alleviates that pressure, or often where there are holes in your systems. What's another one? There's so many right now. And as I said, it's changing all the time.
Yeah. And this is where you would step in and direct an individual like myself on which elements work best for the systems you're using.
And it's, exactly that. Depending on what systems, for example, if you're on Google Workspace, there's so many great tools in there now. So it's really analyzing what do you actually have right now and where are the opportunities for free or low paying, that will really change your life. Also based on what are your pain points, right? It's very individual to every company.
Right. My gosh, how do you stay up on all of this? Because it's
I know sleep. I'm always taking courses. I'm taking a virtual course right now. I'm going to build my own AI prototype. I'm so excited.
That's
cool. Will help companies in their quoting process. Actually, that's very early days. So I can't wait.
Well, isn't it cool how excited we get about? So after we did that talk, and Carly from the collective, who's been on this website before, this podcast, she did a whole presentation on Lovable, and I went home and bought the paid version, bought a year of it. I've created a website in like 15 minutes. Then I've created presentations for things happen here at this office where I get opportunities that I haven't done before. Like somebody's reached out to me about anyway, I won't get into the details of it, but I was like, I've never done that before. I don't have time to. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this Lovable website. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, do a presentation on this content creators thing and whatever. And like, let's create a set for them.
Yeah.
Boom, done. I was
Bam.
like, oh
Done.
my
How
God, like
exciting. I
mind
know
blown.
it
I'm a hand
changes the
talker and
game, doesn't
I
it?
know if there was
I should have
cartoon
mentioned
blips, I'd
lovable.
be
You're
like bim,
right.
bam, boom, like light bulbs going off. I was like, this is wild. Like so
Yeah.
quick and so cool that like within an hour and a half, I'm sending back, which would have taken me days,
Yeah.
Darilyn, days to
Yeah.
put together a fake presentation on things we have never done before that,
100%.
so anyway,
Well, what you can also do, I
wild.
think you kind of mentioned it earlier, is leverage whatever LLM you're using, whether it's Chat, GPT, Claude, could be Perplexity is another really good one
So
to
many, so
actually
many.
input and ask it, these are the systems that I'm currently in. And these are my challenges. What AI tools can I subscribe to that are free that will help me with my challenges? And it will give you ideas.
Value. Hmm.
Then, of course,
Also a
you have to
little
set them up. But
fair. And yeah, you have to, yeah. And that's a whole other podcast. But
yeah,
so when I sort of started trying to figure out what and who I wanted, which LLM to use,
yeah,
I did the same prompt in all of them and got the free answer before deciding, okay. And then I would
yeah.
ask the next question of all and which one aligned mostly with, that's how because how do you know when you're going to get started, which one's and so I started with that as a way to see which one was
Brilliant.
going to be. Yeah. And then of course, now you've just invested so much time into whichever one you've decided to pick on. But anyway, yeah, sorry, we'll get off the derailment topic, but I wanted to circle
No,
back when
no.
you were talking about processes and like right at the sales, the processes and being strategic and planning and projecting. But
Yeah,
if somebody does have a team,
yeah.
do you subscribe to sharing all of the goals, all the strategies, everything with the team, the dollars and cents? What's your
Mm.
thoughts there? Is that something that you would recommend sharing that goal, those sales strategies, everything with your team, or is that something that should just be the
Yeah.
designer or CEO and then decide what the team needs to know?
Yeah, that's a loaded question because
Is it? Okay.
that too is really, individual to the company, depending on the
Okay.
size
Fair.
of team, the roles you want to look at. Obviously, sales, for example, you want to give them quotas, and so they're going to know, what your totals are. If you have people more on the customer service side, what are the key performance indicators for their roles? How are they going to be successful? At the end of the day, that's what you want to share with them the most.
Hmm.
And that's sometimes what I find is most lacking and can often cause people to move to other companies because they don't feel like they're part of it. They don't
Hmm.
understand where the company is going. So you need to give them enough to motivate, to help them succeed and accelerate in their roles, to learn, grow. The ones that want to, of course. Um, but it's a I wouldn't say everything, no.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
want
because the
to,
sales are like that's why how you have a business is so important. So I always wonder
yeah,
if it's worth telling. So my team here knows what we have to reach on every project as our
yeah,
profit percentage, because if we don't meet those numbers, they don't have an office to come to. So like everyone is aware of what needs to happen here, whether they're
yeah.
aware of how they got the sale, that's or how we got the client, that's a different story. But I just wondered your thoughts on it because it is part of our process.
And if
But
you're heading towards, let's say, part of your goal is to eventually sell or have profit sharing in your company, then of course that's a different strategy, right?
mhm, mhm. And
So,
then, so the automations that we were talking about with the sales and the HubSpots and all the, so I know people are fearful of
mhm.
automation because it feels like they're losing control
Yes.
or they don't know things are coming in or they don't understand how that works. Would you be able to maybe just high level explain that so that if someone's listening in their car right into work, they're like, I don't want to lose touch with the
Right.
potential sale? Because I know I was guilty of that too. I knew if I could get on the phone or get in front of someone, I could get the sale, no problem. I knew that, but at some point now, you kind of need to wheedle out who's going to qualify and who's not, but people are afraid to let
Yeah.
that go. So would you just give us a high level overview of what that means when we're talking about automations in your sales process, just so it doesn't scare someone off and or hit
Mhm.
or turn us on pause?
Well, that's part of why I mentioned earlier, the human in the loop is what it's called in the AI world, but you always want to make sure there are touch points in your process, that you're checking what's going out, that you're adding that human element where you need to and where your comfort level is, quite frankly. Um, but also think about, what is this freeing me up to accelerate my business? Where do I always want to work on my business and never have time? These are the
Mhm.
things that will allow you to do that without working, 24/7 and weekends and crazy hours. So, try to let go a bit of that control, but not at, to your point, where it's going to hurt your business either. Because AI, as we all know, is not perfect. It's a starting point.
Mhm.
So automation can be, for example, I mentioned the HubSpot, where you set up specific emails to follow up. There's, email 1, 2, and 3. You're still in control of that message. You're still probably going to follow up by telephone. And add that personal touch to it, but it just alleviates you to be able to focus on other things. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And how are you seeing client acquisition changing? Like, how are you seeing that sales process changing?
Well, this automation factor, but also looking at, it gives you significant opportunity to up your game in presentations, in your proposals, being consistent. Some people I see, they're always winging it. When a sale comes in, this gives you more rigor and structure if that's what you need in your business. You can definitely automate systems to respond to quotes. You can automate to um, build presentation libraries. That means you don't have to stay up half the night doing it. Your team will have access to pick and play, if you will, from a library. That's not new, but you can also leverage. I don't touch too much on the design side because I'm not a designer. I'm more in the business development. But of course, the tools hugely come into play for you and change the game when it comes to, your first renderings and things like that as well.
And
Right.
where should design studios be focusing their lead generation 2026? Like, I know we kind of touched on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
but is there any other suggestions that maybe we wouldn't even know of yet?
Um, well, there is, really focus on three things, I'd say: strategic referral ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
thought
Mm-hmm.
leadership, better lead handling. So referral ecosystems sort of include the builders in your world, the trades, the suppliers, realtors, past clients, of course, but systemizing that. Thought leadership helps ideal clients sort of trust your expertise before they even reach out. So instead of you having to prove, right out of the gate who you are, what you do, how good you're at it, they already know. So that can drastically improve your generation of sales right there. And better lead handling certainly matters, because if inquiries come in and nobody responds clearly, quickly, and consistently, you're going to have a conversion problem, right?
I love the strategic partnerships element because I feel like that one is not really
Hmm.
common.
Yeah.
And also, it feels like a referral. So whether
Hmm.
that would be estate lawyers or whether that, like, whoever in your world, if you're aging in
Yeah.
place,
Yeah.
maybe you're talking to somebody who, like nursing or PSW, like whatever the case may be. I feel like that one people
Yeah.
don't put enough value on, but also it
Mhm.
does feel like a referral as opposed to a cold lead. But I feel like
Yeah.
that was a good one. And you said it, I'm like, that's a good one. I did that last year. I sent out
Did
letters to
you?
every, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You.
And I worked with a business coach for a while, and I've talked about this before briefly, but I'll just reiterate it. He called it Richard Branson time. So I'm not sure if Richard Branson actually does this, but he said every morning you need to spend an hour before you
Yeah.
do anything else, going into your network, emailing someone in your past, hitting something on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
constantly reconnecting with people who already know you and already have worked with you or have an
Yeah.
idea of who you are, and just keep top of mind. So if anything ever comes up,
Yeah.
whether for us it's renovation and design, oh, you know who I know, blah blah blah. It's Laura. Like, just how are you? Haven't seen you for a while. Like, and it's genuine. Don't like make it like the same thing every time. But like, you have to want to do it. You have to want to reach out. But it's called Richard Branson
Exactly.
time. And again,
I
I
definitely do
chalk
that
that
every day. Yeah.
totally. And that can also be your LinkedIn post, your Instagram
Yeah.
post could be locked into that hour. But that Richard, and listen, I know you're the only one that can see me, but it sits on the side of my Richard Branson time. It sits on the
Nice.
side of my computer every
I
morning. It
love
is the
it.
first thing I see, and that gets done every day. So
I'm gonna
7 to
do
8
one of
o'clock in the
them.
morning, Richard Branson time. If you get an email between 7 and 8, it's
You
because
know
I'm
what's
doing Richard
happening.
Branson time.
That's great.
Okay. So the proposal that we talked about and the closing process, because this is paramount. We got to get the sale before we can make any money. So what is the biggest mistake that you're seeing designers present their services to potential clients? What is the whammy that's killing us?
That's a good one. Um, I think one I would look at is, replacing sort of random effort with rhythm. A pipeline certainly gets stronger when there's a repeatable sort of cadence, if you will, regular visibility, regular outreach, regular follow-up, thought leadership, that defined path once leads come in that we've been talking about. Hustle usually shows up when there's no system, then everything feels urgent. But, when there's rhythm, business development starts to feel more manageable and certainly more intentional. Is that answering your question?
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
what makes the design proposal system effective versus the pretty PDF?
Uh, oh boy. That I could write a book on because in my previous world, in my corporate world, I was responsible to set up, very high ticket proposals and presentations, very like hundreds of pages proposals, very we would invest a lot in our presentations and really showing that the customer is the most important thing. Often we get tied up in that prettiness of it, but the most important element, and I'm sure you're all hopefully doing that already, is looking at what does the customer actually want and reframing it in their lens and having the team there, to talk about if you have a team or yourself talking about obviously each stage and what will happen, not just, the the end result. And how do you package it? How can you show up differently? We talked a bit about how do you differentiate. This is the key point. I personally think, although again, I'm not a designer, that if I was a client, I'm probably getting very similar packages and quotes from designers. So, is there a way you can leverage AI and technology to show up differently? Think about that. How do you stand
I
out?
and I will add one more little nugget that I
Yeah.
recently, I guess in the last year or two, found out too. We do all, like, I was guilty of it. I had a beautiful like welcome guide, and then a beautiful like, here's what you can expect in your
Yeah.
presentation guide, and here's what you can expect in your renovation guide, and here I had all
Yeah.
these guides. But the ones that
Yeah.
were the ones after, you're already my client, and so that's fine. But the ones up until that point, there was no call to
Yeah.
action. So it was great to
Oh,
have this really lovely document, but at
yeah.
no point did I tell them what to do next. So that was a big aha
Yeah.
moment for me.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, I mean, because I do, I'm sure a lot of people are like me. I don't want to be the pushy salesperson. But the
Yeah.
reality is, I want the sale, or I wouldn't be sending you all of this stuff. And so the call to action was missing. And what
Mhm.
I was taught was it needs to be on every single page. If you're ready, here's my QR code, book now. If you're
Beautiful.
ready, hit this link, book now. And it felt schwarmy and uncomfortable, but the reality
Yeah.
is it worked.
But
And
today, like what you were saying with Lovable, for example, how easy it is to set up. Like, why not do that for a client? Clients, do they have time to read, hundreds of pages or, even tens of pages? Do they read it? You leverage video, we know is what's resonating with people now. And it's so much easier, you know, um, so many great AI tools for video, even if you hate getting on camera with your voice, or now you can clone yourself and the clone
Yes.
is improving
Psycho.
all the time. So why
Yeah.
not leverage it? Make it more exciting for the client. Show them the rendering even behind you. You can green screen it, like you're
Hmm.
walking through the house. Like there's so many things you can do now
Yeah,
that
that's a good
can
one.
really
Yeah.
reverberate with the client and help you show up differently than your competition.
Yeah. And if somebody isn't comfortable with like a QR code or don't even know, that's a whole lot,
Hmm.
then just say do a page it's called next steps. Do a
Yeah,
page to say next steps
yeah.
and literally
Simplify it.
spell out for them what
Yeah.
needs to happen next so that you can move to the next phase. I make it super easy for them because they shouldn't get through this whole process and be like, this sounds great and now I don't know what to do with it. So that was a big aha for me. But the
Yeah.
call to action, or give it to them straight what the next step is. But I like the video because something about that, it's quick, it's easy, and they get a feel for who you
Mhm.
are.
Exactly.
And a connection and alignment is really important, and it's going
Mhm.
away very quickly.
Yes.
Like it's not
100%.
something that's I don't know about the generations to come, but I know our generation still value that alignment for sure. Okay,
Mhm.
we got off topic there, but okay. So we talked about the pretty. So how can designers streamline the presentation or the pitch process while maintaining the personal connection? So we kind of just touched
Uh-huh.
on the video.
We did, yeah.
Is there any other suggestions? Because I like the video. I think that one's cool if someone's open to
Mhm.
it. But is there any
Well,
other?
I talked a bit about standardizing proposal formats and presentations, but also your key messaging. Just have a library available for your team to also jump in, or you can have an AI assistant now if you don't have a team, that can help handle these scenarios when you're knee deep in a project or on another sales pitch. You want to be timely, and I think that's where a lot of people lose momentum on a sale is the timing as well, especially on the follow-ups. And
Hmm,
yeah, that personal
I agree.
connection should come from, how you listen, tailor, and guide, not from sort of reinventing everything every single time. That's the goal.
I agree with you on that more than like the one thing I say here all the time is speed to the lead. And the
Yeah.
girls know like there is if they're excited and they are wanting like you've had a call, you have the speed to the lead. You can win 90% of your sales by just being the first person back to the game. Like people are ready to roll.
Exactly.
They can't wait to go. Speed to the lead. Do yourself a favor. You can tell them I'll get you a quote in a week and have it there in like give it 24 hours. The faster you can do
Mhm.
it, which AI
Yeah.
can help you with, provided
Hmm.
you have the data, you could win a lot more of your sales leads just by being the first person to respond
Yeah.
and get back to them.
It's interesting
Uh,
you say the data. That's, yeah, exactly it. With AI, you need the data in and you
mm-hmm,
need good
mm-hmm.
data because
Yeah,
they say garbage in, garbage out, but also
yeah,
that setup time. But once you've done it, you must be finding that now in your business. You've lived and breathed it, how much more efficient you can run
yeah.
and operate.
The data that we had for hours, which I know was a hot topic during the conversations that we had had at IDS, it was
Yeah.
because I was so diligent with my time tracking. It has provided me the data that I could now put into a chatbot
Mhm.
and quote a job within minutes. And because I've
Mhm.
done it so often, it now has my verbiage and it knows exactly how to write it. I can type in the scope of work or the room and it knows exactly what element. So not only has it saved me
Mhm.
time in the all I have to do is copy and paste. I have to read it to make sure, copy and paste, but now it can quote my projects very accurately. And I don't have to
Amazing.
sit down and do that. Yeah. So
Wow.
there's some definite
Good for
pluses
you.
from, and the more you use it, the better it gets, right? Like anything else. But
Hmm.
there was a lot of questions about that after.
I'm sure. So you did
Yeah,
that in a custom GPT, right? Custom chat
correct.
GPT? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a chat bot within my it's a
Mhm.
GPT. And so that it's in there that, and as we keep doing more and updating it, it has it. And then we do the
Mhm.
charts. And anyway, that's a whole other, but yeah,
The other thing I love is the front end load, like whether it's on your website, because you mentioned bots, is having a bot almost pre-qualify for you on your website. It's
mhm.
can be very helpful. Like set it up, you have to train it. That's again the time investment
Yeah.
on the front end of what every possible response could be that you know of. But that can be a game changer as well, especially if you find yourself, you're quoting a lot of business that isn't, going anywhere. That can be very helpful as well.
A lot of companies now have embraced not just the pop-up box, but if you call, it's actually a bot. And it
Yes.
sounds like you're speaking to a real person until you're like, are you AI? And then they try not to answer the question. I'm like, you're an AI bot? They're trying to, I'm like, okay, I need to talk to somebody, customer service, please. And then it's like, they are the gatekeeper of the real humans. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I want to wrap up with talking about the thought leadership as a growth engine and why is thought leadership important for the design business and how does that actually show up in your business?
It's a topic near and dear to my heart. That's why I do, create all of these seminars out in the industry, because I love to always be looking at what's next. How can we help the design industry grow and, evolve? So it really helps you build trust before the sales conversation even starts. As I said earlier, it's not about sort of becoming an influencer, unless, of course, you want to, but it's about sharing useful perspectives that shows both how you think, what you're noticing in the world that's happening in design, or other relevant aspects, what you solve, and sort of where you stand. What's your purpose? That could show up as, speaking, writing, strategic social content, industry commentary on LinkedIn, for example, is a great way to do that, or educating clients through your process, quite simply. It's really visibility with purpose. So the goal is that when you have a new prospect, they've already decided they want to work with you before, you've even had a discussion.
And can you give us an example of how the thought leadership has translated into business growth for a design studio?
Yes. Well, there's when a business consistently shares those perspectives on client challenges, decision making, or market shifts, the quality of inquiries change too. Prospects come in warmer, they trust faster. The team spends less time proving their credibility, or the owner. The conversation starts at a higher level. So thought leadership shortens the credibility gap, and that absolutely supports growth. So, for example, when the tariffs started to increase in various countries, one, designer that I know actively engaged with suppliers to determine best solutions and provide sort of clarity to clients, and leveraged it on various social channels, I'm sure in conversations as well. And it showed up brilliantly. It stood out differently. I'm sure it helped. I don't know for sure, but I was like very impressed. That's a great example.
That's amazing.
And
if we,
right?
Well, yeah. And that, listen, that's like, I know we're Canadian, not everyone who's listening is Canadian, but that conversation last January did a lot of damage to our industry and it's still happening because people don't understand it and they don't know what that means and they don't know how it's going to affect them. So they all just pushed a big pause button. So yeah, it's smart to take the reins and take that fear away and, let people know that it really there hasn't been any effect other than the chit chat. So it's great that she did, or I'm assuming it's a she, shouldn't, but I'm assuming. Okay. So in closing, if a designer can fix one part of their sales system right now, today, right after they listen to this, what can it be?
Oh, that's a tough one because the stage, you're at and the growth, your challenges, what I was talking about earlier, it's often in the proposal though, and the follow-up stage. That's where a lot of revenue can get lost quietly. You've done the hard part, you've got the lead, you've had the conversation, you've created the proposal, and then the close is too passive or too inconsistent. Better conversion often matters sort of more than chasing more leads. And then it's looking at where AI can help you solve those conversion challenges that you don't have time or resources to address. That would be the one area if I had to pick.
And if anyone listening wants to reach out to you and learn more about how you can help them, can you give us that overview and where they can find you?
Yes. My website is selocity.ca, Selocity. I'm on LinkedIn, Darilyn Coles, Darilyn, because I know that's a different one. And my email is darilyn@selocity.ca.
And I'll put all of this in the show notes. So all you have to do is scoot over there and you'll have all the correct spellings and all the good things for Darilyn. And that's, I said that to you. I just want to make sure I pronounce it's Marilyn, but Darilyn. And you said yes. So if anyone think Marilyn, put a D in front. Done. It's like 100%. My son's name is Brendan. And his whole life, no one, it's the Irish, it's my dad's name and it's the Irish spelling. And so I've always said it's Brenda with an N on the end. And I'm like, he is going to hate me one day because I've always said, it's like Brenda, and then add an N. And he's like, Mom. And
eventually he'll learn to love it.
Stop calling me Brenda with an N.
Everybody, jeez.
I know. So anyway, sorry to
everybody spells it with the O, right?
Or an E, or like it's never the right. There's a lot of Brandons. And there's a lot of Bradens. There's not a lot of Brennans. Anyway, it's just the Irish spelling. But anyway, so that's how my brain works. Clearly, I'm just sharing that wealth with everybody else who's going to call you Marilyn with a D. So thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I always enjoy yapping with you. So thank you. And I know there's going to be a lot of designers that are interested in learning more about your business and how you can help them with theirs.
Thank you, Laura. It's been a great talking to you.